uncle before he died.
And this is Chris Mike Stink.
I guess I'll start recording. This is Brian Mike Sink.
Should have been recording. Hang on.
This is Rick Mike Sink.
This is Torin Mike Sink.
Also, this is Rick's front door going off.
Oh yeah, I shut it off. This is the Comic-Con recap, I presume.
Yes.
Comic-Con recap, and also I figured we talk about James Gunn, Carrie Fisher.
What's going on with Carrie Fisher?
She's in episode 9.
We'll get to it.
Get to it.
First off, Torin, what was your favorite part of Comic-Con this year?
I like the part where I didn't go.
Save that bit for when we actually start the episode.
No, I'm not. I don't want to be the what's the term? What's the Nelly naysayer of Comic-Con? It's just not my thing, guys. I know Brian's dick gets hard to stand in line for 4 hours for a panel so he can learn that they were going to shoot in Provo, Utah, but then they decided to move the shoot to Vancouver, and I know that's fascinating trivia for whatever random TV show that he was in line for 4 hours for, but I just don't really care about trivia like that. So
all right.
Says the guy on a nerd podcast.
Yeah. You are on the wrong podcast.
Oh, I know. If I
Comic-Con love.
Well, your pedantria, is that even a word?
Yeah, it is now.
Pedantria. I like that. I like pedantria better though.
Look, if you want to
pedantrian.
No, it's pedantry. Isn't it pronounced pedantry?
Pedantry.
That's pedantry.
Pedantry. Yeah.
I feel like we really got to be careful with the pronunciation of that word. If you place the wrong emphasis on an incorrect syllable, it's going to sound like pedophilia.
By the way, how pedantic is it for us to argue about the proper pronunciation of the word pedantry or pedantry?
Pedantry. Yeah, that's very pedantic. But it's to be expected. There's nothing less that should be expected.
That's true.
It's a bunch of deviated perverts here.
It is nothing but pedantic to argue the pronunciation of pedantry.
Yeah. Before we start, Rick, I'm sorry I couldn't go to the pool party. I had every intention of going.
That's gonna be the name of the episode, Chris. The pedantic pronunciation of pedantry or whatever it was.
I like that. That's a good title. I'm sorry I couldn't go. I did have plans. My mom was gonna watch him, and then she had plans, and it was this whole thing. So basically, if I were gonna go, I would have had to bring the 3-year-old, and that would have been a nightmare.
Yeah, that's a no.
No, I figured.
Yeah, no, we all had a good time.
You would have driven here. I would have seen your child. I would have.
You would have kicked me right the fuck out.
That's it. Yeah. It wouldn't have been that big a deal for me. It would have sucked for you, but it wouldn't have been.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. But I just didn't want it because I was originally planning to go, and then I basically found out about this like Friday-ish. But then again, I didn't get around to telling you until like Sunday morning or Saturday morning.
That's fine. No, don't worry about it.
Speaking of, I had to
throw away like 10 pounds of food because you weren't there. I mean, I had a lot of food.
I'm not that fat.
I had a lot of food for you.
You only had to throw away 4 pounds of food, okay?
Okay, fine.
The other 6 pounds I was good for. By the way, are you down for 5E on the 4th?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And it sounded like Brandon was also down.
Oh, cool. Okay. So we just need to see if... Sorry, Brian. Listen, we haven't played in 2 months. We need to find a time when you're available.
Yes, no, unfortunately, I have a mother-in-law with a birthday that day.
Yeah, also your birthday is 2 days later.
3. Yeah,
whatever.
So I don't get to play D&D on my birthday because...
as a curmudgeon who hates birthdays and hates celebrating them, can't we ban all birthday celebrations?
Oh, I have had this conversation because my wife is making me celebrate my birthday.
Oh my god!
I have no choice in the matter.
That's weird. I didn't get an invite to that.
No, it's a family thing.
I mean, what are we?
Wow, how long are we
8 years
old? The guy to get invited to the family.
You could go to the fucking thing if you want. I assumed you wouldn't like it because birthdays are fucking awful. You want to go? It's Sunday the 5th. Do you want to go?
I mean, your parents are like surrogate parents to me.
All right, Brian, you are fucking invited.
Your sister is like my sister. You're like my brother. I have keys to your grandfather's house.
Yeah, and we have seen each other naked on more than one occasion. So,
and
Brian,
it had to get weird.
And yet, apparently,
Brian,
I'm not family.
I don't even want to go, but you are more than welcome to go. By the way, it was only just decided this morning when my wife emotionally blackmailed me into agreeing to celebrate mine and Evan's birthday.
Oh,
It'll be in Temecula on Sunday.
Hey, what's wrong with birthdays? What's the big deal about birthdays?
Because I'm one step closer to the grave.
Yeah, but you're always every single day. You're one day closer.
Which
to
is
the
why I hate going to
tell
sleep.
Me about it.
I hate going to sleep.
So why are we celebrating this arbitrary day? That doesn't really mean, it doesn't mean anything.
The anniversary of my escape from that ovarian
No. It's a for me. It's about it's about astronomy. But it celebrates one more trip around the sun. Like it took me a year to get around the sun.
We have a date for that already. True. It's called January 1st.
No. That's everybody's. Like that one's arbitrary, but the actual birthday, like this is the number of times that I have been on this space in the solar system.
Yeah, closer to death. You know,
outside of a uterus.
By the way, you guys feel like this closer to death thing is bad. Like, wait until you get another few years on. You might start not dreading death as much as you do.
Here's my take. I adopt and incorporate Patton Oswalt's bit about birthdays. 1 through 10, you get a birthday because you're a little kid. 11, you get a birthday. 15, you get a birthday. 16, you get a birthday. 18, you get a birthday. 21, you get a birthday, and that's it. After 21, birthdays only on every 10 years.
I agree.
25 because you get to rent a car. Come on.
No. Huh. Yeah, it's like 30, 40, 50. It's like, I'm 28. No one gives a shit. Get a fucking job.
All right.
No one gives a shit, but it doesn't hurt to go out to dinner and have a couple drinks and a slice of cake.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the big fucking deal?
Okay. Oh yeah, I'm totally making my parents buy dinner for me, and I'm literally ordering the most expensive meal.
Rick, the big fucking deal is that Brian would rather play D&D with you guys and go to his mother-in-law's fucking birthday.
Well, of course.
Because we have to celebrate birthdays and that he doesn't care about, he's got to fucking go to have a dinner party for his mother-in-law.
So what I'm hearing from Brian is I have to kill your mother-in-law. That's one more murder I have to do this week.
See, that kind of joke is okay, but we can't talk about God damn, you better not fucking objectify a woman. God damn, you better not objectify a fucking woman.
I mean, I'm making a joke about a historical period. And you're like, I'm just going to murder some woman.
Let me ask this question. Well, fuck. Who cares? Never mind. Let's play D&D on the 4th, and that's that. Let's please start this.
All right, let's start. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the TPK podcast, the pedantic discussion on how to pronunciate the word pedantry.
Don't say pronunciate. That's not a fucking word. Oh, damn it.
That's pretty pedantic.
I thought you were gonna come in and correct my pronunciation of pedantry, but and
like, you know, you got to major in the majors. I got to pick the big problems first. You're not even pronouncing. Pronunciate.
Pronunciate isn't even a word.
I know. I'm just saying you got to pronounce. It's like people say the word.
That's true.
Cleanly. No, I'm pretty cleanly. Cleanly. No, cleanliness is an adjective, but clean is the way to describe a thing. I don't know. Whatever. Back to you.
This is golden. And I'm your host, Christopher James, and with me today is Rick.
Comic-Con. I'm out of it. I'm out.
Yeah. Oh, me too. I have stories about the blisters on my feet. Brian?
Blisters on my feet? And talk about blisters on my inner thigh, dude.
Ugh.
Do you not wear the polyester long, the up to the knee underwears?
Up to the knee? You mean
down
to the knee?
What is he, a Mormon?
To the knee.
Yeah, no.
Well, exactly. No, you wear the polyester ones because it wicks the sweat away, it keeps your junk dry, and you don't have that rubbing issue. I am not even joking.
Baby powder.
That too.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Moving on.
And Torin.
Well, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but the best thing about being raped is when you're done being raped, it's like, wow, this feels great not being raped.
What the fuck? Holy shit. Okay.
That's for part 2 of our discussion today.
Where's that from? Where's that from? I've heard that before.
Yeah, you should have. It's been in the news lately. Concerning a certain director who
right. That's where I've heard that. That's where I've heard that. Ladies and gentlemen, Torrent.
Jesus Christ.
Which I have to say, that is a total Norm Macdonald joke. And had Norm Macdonald said it, everybody would say, "Oh, that's hilarious, that scamp Norm." But then James Gunn says it, and it's like, "Oh, I'm appalled." But anyway, we'll get into.
Moving on.
I'm appalled if Norm Macdonald says it. That's a fucked
up
joke.
I'm also appalled. I have one 5 or 6 sentence thing to say about that, but we can get to that later. On today's episode, we're going to be doing the nerd news of the week, but first it's time to talk about Comic-Con. But first, it's time to talk about what are we drinking. And I'll go first because I just came back from the store and I am about 4 of these in. I am drinking a mojito with literally the cheapest white rum that I could find at the store. It was $5.99 for a bottle. And I may have added a little bit extra simple syrup. I think I should have sprung for the more expensive rum.
What? I don't think it's a gay drink. Mojito.
Dude, mojitos are fucking awesome, especially when you're having chili lime salmon, which is what I cooked for dinner.
Okay, first of all, I want to address this with Brian. Brian, there's no such thing as a gay drink.
I was quoting a Family Guy episode.
Okay. Second of all, Chris, rum is so cheap to get good stuff. Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, I'm appalled.
Wait, what light rum did you get, Chris?
I'm not a rum drinker, so I don't know any brands.
Right.
It's way in the kitchen. I don't know. It's not like rum.
I can tell you anything you want to know about rum.
I was actually going to text you $20 or less, give me a brand. But I was at fucking Ralph's.
Here's the thing about rum. Here's the thing about rum. If you're going to get cheap rum, get somebody with a rank. I would
Admiral Nelson, Captain Morgan,
and Sailor Jerry. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know what the brand is. Here's the thing. It comes in a plastic bottle. They couldn't even afford glass.
Well, the thing is, Brian, Admiral Nelson rum is terrible, and that's the highest rank of all of them.
So. Well, of course, the Admiral is not going to have the good shit that the Chiefs make down in the hull.
That's right.
The captain is going to get it because that's his cut.
The Admiral hasn't come out of an office at the Admiralty office in months. So.
Rick, let me ask you: is plain old Bacardi? Is that
no? That's good? Garbage.
So, what's a good cheap rum?
A good cheap rum: Zaya, Zafra, Zacapa. The Shellback is better than fucking Bacardi.
Mm-hmm.
If it starts with a Z, buy it. That's it.
Zaya,
but honestly.
Are you casting a spell over there?
Yes. A swish and a flick, and now you guys all have a banana for a penis.
That's an upgrade for me, so I'm good.
I already have banana,
sure.
So it's fine.
Oh, weird. So the magic works basically. No, there's a ton of good rums, and rum is cheap. Very good, very old rum is relatively inexpensive compared to how expensive that same age of whiskey would be. I mean, you get 12-year-old rum for $20, $25, maybe not 20. Closer to 25.
Listen, this was at a Ralph's. I didn't even go to the part of the liquor aisle that was locked behind the little gate.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm just making mojitos.
Well, don't. Okay, listen. It doesn't really matter what you make a mojito out of, other than the $5 plastic bottle. But I will say this: you shouldn't be buying liquor at Ralph's.
I know, but I didn't have time to go to Bed Bath, or not Bed Bath & Beyond. What the fuck is Bevmo? Anyway, moving on. Torrin tried a liquor the other day. How was that whiskey in a metal can?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's called Stillhouse, original 100% corn whiskey, and it comes in a metal can that looks like a paint thinner can.
Right.
And when you open it, it smells exactly like paint thinner. But I will say it was very smooth for being in a metal can.
Here's my question: will it thin paint?
It probably. I mean, it smells like it, so probably. But yeah, it was pretty smooth. It had 40% alcohol. And
I've seen that stuff.
Strong. It's honestly not that.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It was better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be just horrific.
I mean, it's not aged in anything, right?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I'm glad you're branching out. I'm glad it wasn't a Four Loko or fucking a box of wine. But I got to tell you, you still drink like a high school kid.
Yes, I know. I'm not as sophisticated as you are, Rick.
That's fine. That's
true.
It's not a matter of sophisticated. It's
it's also a matter because, like, just as you were explaining to Chris, you're like, don't buy out liquor at the supermarket. Not all of us like have access to a Bevmo or a Total Wine that we can just get to anytime you need some alcohol. Sometimes you do have to you happen to be at the supermarket, and what they have is basic bitch stuff, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. Let me translate. Let me translate what Torin just said. Hi, my name's Torin. I live in the greater Los Angeles area, and I have literally no access to any kind of craft alcohol whatsoever.
I don't live in the greater Los Angeles area. I live basically in the Inland Empire.
Are you in LA County?
And no, I don't have access to
Are you in LA County?
It's LA. It's at the edge. It's a fringe of LA County. Yes.
You are 15 miles from the county line.
All right. Listen, pedantry.
What's up? The name of the episode.
Here's the thing.
We're living up to the name.
The second best place to buy liquor is Trader Joe's.
Yeah, I'll agree.
The best place to buy liquor, is Costco.
Their Trader Joe's is hit or miss because their whiskey's really good, but then I've had their rum and I've had their vodka, and it's terrible.
So don't buy their vodka.
No, I'm just saying.
You can get other vodka there that's really good and really cheap.
Okay.
I gotta say, I hate the shit out of Trader Joe's because of all of the crunchy granola, fucking non-GMO organic bullshit that they sell. But their alcohol selection is fucking on point, especially their beer selection.
Trader Joe's is your people, Chris. I don't know.
I am tangential to those people, but they are not my people. Moving on.
Agree.
Rick, what are you drinking? How refined and sophisticated is your drink today?
I'm drinking the best beer for summer. Second Chance Beer Company's Over the Line Lager, OTL we call it. I got a keg for the party that you weren't at, and we actually finished the keg tonight. I've got the last glass of it from that keg right here. It's light, cool, refreshing. It's perfect for summer. It is the best beer for summer. It's the first lager that they've released. It is available in cans, and it's fucking great.
I gotta ask, if I go down there with a keg, will he fill it, or is that just for people who own 1/2% of the brewery?
No. You don't go down with a keg and then they fill it. You buy a keg from them, and they give you a keg.
They will actually sell kegs?
Oh, absolutely. They'll sell. I get the small kegs. They call it a sixtel. Yeah. Or a 5-gallon keg. It's actually 5.5 gallons. They'll sell you a 15-gallon keg. It'll be a couple $100.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not.
I mean, you'd have to have a way to serve beer from a keg, and CO2 tanks and all of those other things that are involved in a kegerator. But they will sell you a keg, absolutely.
Nice. That is good to know.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian, round
out.
But
you do need to pre-order it. If you need a keg, you need to call them ahead of time. Hey, I'd like to pick up a keg on Friday, but call them like Tuesday to make sure they're in their packaging system. They plan for it.
Cool. All right, Brian, bring it home. What are you drinking?
It's been so long, I forgot what we were talking about. I'm drinking water. Because I got dehydrated at said party yesterday drinking the OTL.
Ooh.
And some crazy paint thinner Peruvian brandy that Rick made everybody do shots of.
I did make everybody do shots of it.
Yeah, I had to finish Lauren's because she wasn't gonna drink the whole shot.
It's my party starter. It's a Peruvian brandy called Pisco, and it's the brand that I get is called Kappa. They actually sell a different brand at Trader Joe's, and I want to say that it's their house brand. Like their house line is what they call Pisco of the Gods. They have vodka of the gods and tequila of the gods, and none of it's all that good. But I don't get that. I get the brand Kappa, and it's what I use to get a party started.
Yeah, well, that's because it's rocket fuel. So, but it was sweet. It had a sweet aftertaste, and normally alcohol has a bitter aftertaste or a smoky aftertaste. But it punched you in the face. with the alcohol, and then as you're going trying to breathe, you taste the sweetness of the brandy. So it was pretty good. But I'm drinking water.
All right. Let's move on to our first topic of the day, Comic-Con.
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 This was an interesting con this year.
Very
so right off the bat, Hall H, I got into Hall H with about half hour. This was on Thursday, by the way, with about half hour of waiting. But I know other people who basically got into Hall H, every panel that they wanted, with an hour to 2 hour of waiting. Nobody waited in line this year. We didn't have to wait more than 24 hours to get our wristbands and all of that stuff. I did get to see Doctor Who, which was awesome. I know somebody who got in to see the Warner Brothers panel, and they did not wait over light. They just got in line at about 8:30ish, and they got in 10 minutes after it started, which I think was at 10 or 11 or so. Hall H was a ghost town compared to last year. It was, I gotta say, I'm actually liking the fact that Marvel and Disney and HBO were not in Hall H this year, because I kind of didn't feel obligated to go, and I got to do some other cool stuff. So I was really happy about that.
I agree. This is the first year that I've ever been to Comic-Con where I did not go into Hall H even 1 minute. I didn't set foot in a Hall H this year for the first time ever. And two things it did. It, first of all, opened up the schedule vastly, where I had a lot of time to do a ton of other stuff. But it also gave me time to to see some of the other struggles that are going on around the con in terms of trying to get in panels, because I don't normally do a lot of small room panels. I do a few here and there, but I really tried to focus on small room panels this year and had some struggles trying to get in. And I think some of that might be tied to slightly less demand in Hall H, but I feel like it also, those kinds of things are happening every year regardless. And I don't really get up into that all that much. And so I had a number of smaller panels that I had wanted to try to go to, but was not able to get in just because of, too many people. And so kind of an interesting situation this year with that.
I can actually kind of tack on to that. 2 years ago, I did not go into Hall H. I think I went in on Sunday, not Saturday. Last year, of course, I spent all day Saturday with you guys.
Yeah.
But lately, Comic-Con has been really packed, and they have not exactly increased the number of panels from, say, 10 years ago, but they have certainly increased the attendance from 10 years ago. So, this year I've seen numbers that said 185,000 people. And I will tell you that 2 years ago and last year, depending on the day and the panel, there were small panels that you couldn't get into, that you had to wait in line, for an hour or two to try and get in to a panel that, basically to sit through one to see another one. Right. But I will say that it seemed to be a lot worse this year because there wasn't as much of a draw in Hall H. Oh, yeah. And remember, Hall H only sits like 7,000 people, 6,500 people, something like that, which is a lot of people, right? But it's also the line, right? So that takes away some of the overflow, and just kind of like any other traffic situation where one lane's blocked, the other ones are going to be a little thicker. People were looking for other stuff to do, but I really feel like that started a couple of years ago because people just realized that they weren't going to camp overnight. They could only get one day. So why even bother trying to go in Hall H? That was basically my philosophy for many years. Just go to the other panels. And so, yeah, it was very difficult to get into some panels this year. That notwithstanding, I had a somewhat different experience. I think I went to the most panels this year that I've ever gotten. So yeah, I mean, it kind of just depends on what you're into and what you're willing to do. And I have to say, I was really pleased this year. Although I did go into Hall H on Saturday, but this is remarkable. After about 45 minutes of waiting, I was able to get into Hall H on Saturday.
Wow. Torrin, how was your Comic-Con experience this year?
Oh, it's fantastic. Fantastic. I loved every second of it when I was not there.
Yeah. Great. Torrin, you gotta get a day that's not Sunday.
Okay,
Sunday is kind of the worst day.
I went last year, and I'm not Sunday. Really. We've talked about this before. I don't really care about the panels all that much. I mean, they would be interesting if you didn't have to wait hours in line to go to a panel to hear basically a press junket, like, and dumb questions being asked by the audience. What I would be interested in would be the workshops. Like, I think, Rick, you went to, did you go to that podcasting workshop?
I did.
Yeah, that would be interesting to me, like that type of stuff. The panels of like the new DC abortion that's going to come out. I don't really like. I don't care about that. I'm not waiting 3 hours in line to hear them talk about Shazam.
Right.
But yeah, all the workshop stuff would be nice. The dealer room I went to last year, and that was just a nightmare because you couldn't even move in there. And I guess because I went on Sunday, like you said, Chris, is it the dealer room is not as packed on the other days, or is it always like that?
Listen,
no, it's always
always packed, but it is the most packed on Sunday.
And that didn't used to be the case. Like, it used to be a lot less crowded on Sundays than it has been the last 2 years. The last 2 years it has gotten really bad on Sundays. And I don't know what's driving that. I think people were starting to think that Sundays were a good day because there were less people in it. When I started going to Comic-Con, Sunday was a very light day. Mm-hmm. And that has changed in those years. It's gotten more crowded in the exhibit hall. And I don't know, and Brian mentioned this in our preview episode, I don't know if that's attributable to the fact that there's the quality of panels on Sunday is lesser, maybe. I don't know. You don't have a lot of big things going on in Indigo. You don't have a lot of, I mean, there's still stuff going on in Hall H and in rooms all over the con, but it feels like the quality takes a step down, or at least the prominence takes a step down, because a lot of people, they're leaving early on Sunday and it's a shorter day in general. And so there's just less to do. And so it used to be the case that the exhibit hall was the place to be on Sunday, but I'm going to tell you all this right now. It is no longer the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The exhibit hall, here's the thing. You got anywhere for, I think the capacity for Comic-Con or for that convention center is 130,000, or is that higher or lower? I don't know. So you've got a not insignificant percentage of people who can't get into their panel on a particular day, so they're going to go to the exhibit hall. I went in Thursday, and it was packed. I went in Friday and Saturday, it was packed. Sunday, I didn't even bother going in because, packed.
So how are they? How are they getting past like fire code violations? Because it seems incredibly unsafe. The amount of people that are in there.
The fire marshal is on site. Uh-huh. I was actually in a line. We were trying to get into. This is the only panel that I wanted to get into that I didn't. And it was the 20th anniversary of Batman the Animated Series that came out on Blu-ray. And I was 100 people away from getting into that room, and then it started. And the fire marshal, or one of his marshals, whoever, was there telling the line people, this is what you need to do to the line to make me happy. So they have the city of San Diego people there making sure that it's all up to code. Okay. I don't know what the code is, but the convention center and Comic-Con, they've been doing this for 2 decades, longer. They know what they're about.
Okay.
I will say, by the way, 100 people from getting into a panel is not close. A close is like 10 or 15 people and you get rejected. But 100 in a room like 6AB, that's not particularly close.
Yeah, and that's why I left and I went to do something else, because the panel it had been going on for 10 minutes. So I'm like, I'm not getting in.
Now, let me ask you about that panel, because that's one that we had talked about during the preview episode. We had talked about the possibility, based on the hints that were given in the description of the panel, that Mark Hamill would be there. We have subsequently heard that he was, in fact, not there.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that? Do we all agree that he wasn't there?
I've talked to somebody who was in that panel, and she said that he wasn't there. I still wanted to be in the panel. Like, Kevin Conroy alone was worth it.
Wait, Mark Hamill wasn't there?
So Mark Hamill, here's the thing. Mark Hamill was on site, and he was, what did I read? He was cosplaying as something. But he wasn't at that
He's
panel.
Cosplaying as a Tuscan. That would be hysterical. Cosplaying as
actually,
Tuscan.
I feel like he was cosplaying as somebody from Star Wars, but I can't remember. Probably a stormtrooper because that's the easiest one to do.
That would be easy.
But apparently Mark Hamill was on site, but
that's weird.
The person that I spoke to said that she said that he wasn't on that panel.
That's super weird because Mark Hamill's like Kevin Smith. Like he'll at any Comic-Con he'll show up because it's his people.
He may have had another thing to do that day. I don't know.
Maybe. That's weird.
Yeah, sit around and drink whiskey and not go to Comic-Con.
Hey, so sorry guys, I just want to kind of bring us back here. Can we talk about some of the panels we did go to? I know I have like 1 or 2 panels that I went to every day. I'd like to share with the
yeah. I have 3 panels that I want to talk about. Did you want to go first, Brian?
It doesn't matter. Go for it.
I'll talk about Doctor Who because 3 out of the 4 of us really like it. I got in line about a half hour before the Doctor Who panel began. And it was the first panel of the day on Thursday. And there was other like relatively big stuff going on Thursday. So I was like, I'll wait an hour and see if I get in. I got in 5 minutes before the panel. Totally worth it. Jodie Whittaker, like she is a delightful. I am so excited about this season. They did give us a trailer, but of course it was put online. Like none of the trailers that you're going to see in a Hall H are ever going to be exclusive anymore. There might be 1 or 2 scenes that are different, but I think because of the streamers, gone are the days of you getting to see a trailer 6 months before the rest of the world gets to see it.
Right, and that's when that type of thing would have interested me, when it's like I got to see something that nobody else gets to see. But I do get that, it is cool to see Jodie Whittaker and whoever the new companions are, and the new showrunner, Chris Chibnall. Is that the name of the person that's new showrunner now? Chibnall. Right, Chris Chibnall. I mean, it's cool to see that stuff. And did they have anything to really say about the new season? Or
it was really cool. They did have 2 of the 3 new companions.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we've talked about the fact that they have to have an old white guy because the other companions
that guy's so dead, by the way.
Oh, yeah,
I give him 5 episodes if they kill him off or something.
Exactly. But I'm really excited about the new series. The special effects look on point. The acting looks good. I mean, I can't glean anything else from the trailer. They did say that there's going to be mostly new monsters. They're not going to be bringing stuff from the classic shows. And it is the Chibnall did say that this is a great starting off point. Like they're essentially starting from scratch, which they kind of do every new Doctor. But Rick, I'm just saying, if you want to give Doctor Who a chance, start with Jodie Whittaker.
Actually, I was thinking about this. Rick, how much Doctor Who did you watch?
I watched 1 episode that was so bad I can't.
Was that it was probably the first episode, which is literally the worst episode ever.
I would tell him to watch Blink.
Oh yeah,
Blink is great.
I would think Blink's a good jumping off point for people because it doesn't really.
You don't have to know the mythology. It is
right, exactly. It's a standalone episode, and it's excellent.
And the main character is an audience. Yes. The main character is an audience surrogate because the Doctor is actually hardly in that episode. It's right. Because of at the time their production schedule, they did 1 Doctor Light episode each season, and that was it. Blink is one of, if not the best Doctor Who episodes.
So what you're saying is the 1 Doctor Who episode that I ought to start with is the one that barely has a Doctor in it.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's to ease you in, but it also has what I think is the greatest line ever delivered by Ten, and he had some great lines. Said, "Sorry, things happening. Well, 2 things. Well, 3. Well, 4 things and a lizard happening. Sorry. What do you need?"
That's such British comedy. I mean, I feel.
It's super British.
Rick, what I'm saying is Chibnall. God damn you, Brian! I keep trying to call him Chinball. Chibnall said that he is writing this series basically for fresh viewers. So if you want to give Doctor Who a chance, maybe watch the pilot episode with us. It's coming in like another 6 months or whatever.
Ancillary to that discussion, I want to drop this in real quick. I pulled a little bit of a paparazzi move during the right after the Warner Brothers panel. A bunch of the cast members from a few of the Warner Brothers movies went out to their booth, the Warner Brothers booth in the exhibit hall, and here's all of the stars of the Crimes of Grindelwald, all lined up signing autographs for people who had won drawings, but you could walk by and see them. And I had a little bit of a brain fart. And as I was working my way up to the sort of the barrier between where the plebs could walk and where the stars were, I'm sort of getting the attention of a few of the different stars, and I see Jude Law, and I can't remember the female lead in that film's name, the dark-haired woman.
Watterson.
Yes, and then I see the star of the film, and I shouted out, "Mr. Smith, Mr. Smith." and after I realized what I was doing, I was so fucking embarrassed. God damn!
So you should have played it off like you were being a troll.
I didn't even know that I was being a troll.
Didn't Eddie Redmayne win an Academy Award?
He did.
To his face, I called him Matt Smith.
Matt Smith was supposed to be in that movie, right?
Oh, the rumor that I've heard, and it's not substantiated by.
They wrote it for him, and he turned it down.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
I'm so embarrassed
because that character. I mean, he's kind of the Doctor.
Yeah, he's basically 11.
I mean, Eddie Redhair did make it his own. Like his performance, he wasn't being Matt Smith. You know, he gave his own. Eddie Redmayne is actually I think he's a good actor.
He's an excellent actor.
Perfectly honest, yeah.
One Tony Award.
I wondered why he wouldn't look at me. I kept wondering why he wouldn't look my way so I could get a nice face on photo. What's the female lead's name, Brian? Remind me.
Catherine Watterson.
Catherine Wattersmith. Looked right at me. Watterson gave me a nice wave, smiled. Thank you for being a fan, kind of thing. Jude Law is the coolest motherfucker on the planet. God damn, that guy is cool.
He does seem like a cool dude.
The Muggle guy was there, like they were all there. And
you're leaving off a very important, a very big star in that movie. That was he not there?
Oh, well, let me tell you what happened.
Did he not show his face anymore around
I hinted at this in one of my little mini vlogs, but apparently on Saturday during the Warner Brothers panel, right at the end of the Crimes of Grindelwald segment, Johnny Depp came out in character as Gellert Grindelwald, full makeup and costume, made an appearance, waved to the crowd, and then left. Painfully awkward, also in the building at the same time for the same panel, was Amber Heard appearing during the Aquaman panel. Presumably they didn't cross paths or who knows, but whatever.
I mean, they were an hour professionals. Separated.
They have a job to do and they did their job, but apparently, yes, Johnny Depp did make a very brief appearance on stage during the panel at Hall H, but he was not at the booth during the signing immediately following that panel.
Right.
Well, let me ask, was he in character because he's kind of a fucking eccentric guy? So, I mean, maybe he was just dressed that way? I mean,
well, maybe, but here's what I will say. Like, for example, a few years ago, Michael Rooker came out in full Yondu character during the Marvel panel promoting Guardians of the Galaxies 2. So there's a little bit of a precedent for this occurring.
Right. And that is a couple hours of makeup for Michael Rooker.
Right. But see, like, Michael Rooker is like a cool dude and like kind of an actor's actor. And he just doesn't give a fuck. And he's there for the fans. What I'm saying is Johnny Depp's fucking insane in his real life.
A little bit.
I don't
allegedly.
I don't think that Michael Rooker dresses up like Yondu at home.
I don't think Johnny Depp dresses up like Gellert Grindelwald at all.
Yeah, I also don't think Johnny Depp walks around with the bleached blonde hair.
Correct.
But before we move on back to the con, I would just like to say Eddie Redmayne has won one Tony Award, one Olivier Award, one Golden Globe, one BAFTA, one Screen Actors Guild Award, one Academy Award, and 28 other major awards.
Mother of God.
Yeah.
So maybe you know who Eddie Redmayne is.
You couldn't even get his name right, Rick.
I know.
I'm so embarrassed for you.
He's an accomplished actor for somebody who's living on borrowed time. Let's be honest.
Shit.
Listen, those daywalkers don't last. I don't know what to tell you. Moving on. I'm sorry, Eddie, by the way, because I'm sure you listen to this podcast. That was a joke. Please don't sue me.
And I'm sorry you didn't win the best actor at the Detroit Film Critics Society. I am, however, much more proud of you for winning the Grifoni Film Festival Experience Award and the Golden Raspberry Award for Jupiter Ascending.
We need to have our own award for things. We have to come up with our own award. Too.
No,
like the
Sorry,
golden.
I am blackballing that.
The golden penis
right
or something.
I
like
hate
that.
the shit out of awards.
Well, that's the point. That's because it's so arbitrary. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. The last panel that I'm going to talk about, I was going to talk about 3, but we were running late. The last panel that I want to talk about is I got to see the Venture Brothers panel, and last year. Jackson Public was there promoting his book that has been in the works for like 4 fucking years, and it finally came out. Go Team Venture, The Art of the Venture Brothers. And when I was in the panel in Indigo Ballroom on Friday, they said, oh, by the way, pre-orders are starting to ship. They're going to be shipping on like Monday or something, but we have the book for sale here if you want to buy it, and we're going to be doing signings on Saturday. So I was like, okay, I have literally never done a celebrity signing before because it's like, whatever. Jackson Public and James Ubernaik, I never know how to pronounce his name.
I thought it was Urbaniak, right?
Yeah. Anyway, I'm like, I will get those signatures. I went ahead and I waited in line at 9 a.m. for the ticket to get the autograph signing. I got a ticket, so I went downstairs to the exhibit hall, looked for the Cartoon Network booth. They didn't have the book there, so I went to the Dark Horse booth, who is the publisher. They didn't have the book there, so I went to the Adult Swim on the Green booth. They had the book there, bought the thing, got the thing signed. I nerded. I had a huge nerdgasm over Jackson Public and James Ubernaik. I told Jackson Public, I was so fucking nervous. I was like, I love your show. I think it's the best written show on television. And to be perfectly honest, I wasn't even blowing smoke up his ass. Like, that show is so smart and witty. It is one of, if not the best written shows on television right now. And I said to James Ubernaik, I love your work. I love your work on Venture Brothers. I've been following your career. I love your work on not Unreal, on Review, which is a great show. I name dropped a couple other shows that he's been in. And then they had the guy who plays Hank Venture, and I had nothing to say because I literally had nothing. I knew him from nothing else, but I think he kind of understood because he filled the gap by talking to James Ubernaik, like, oh, you were on this other show, and blah, blah, blah. So I feel bad for that, but I got a signed Go Team Venture book from that, which was pretty fucking awesome.
That's cool. Does Doc Hammer not show up at these things?
So Doc Hammer was scheduled to be there, but he doesn't fly and he lives in New York. And James Ubernaik said he had an injury. And I guess that meant he couldn't take the 4-day train from New York to here. So yeah, he didn't show up, which would have been awesome, but he wasn't there last year either.
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good show. If you haven't seen it, it's a really good show. Rick, do you watch Venture Brothers?
I do not.
You should check that one out. It really
is honestly, for how much I love Rick and Morty, it is better than Rick and Morty.
Well, no, because this one's smart.
Rick, let me
They're
just
both smart.
Rick and Morty's not as smart as it thinks it is. It's not a dumb show.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those toxic Rick and Morty fans that think it's the smartest show on television and you have to have an IQ of 140 in order to understand it. Rick and Morty is a smart show. Venture Brothers is smarter.
Right.
Rick, I'll tell you this because I watch a lot more Venture Brothers than I do Rick and Morty. It is a fantastic show. It's really whip smart, very snarky, love it, but I think you would hate it.
Good to know. Thank you. That's the recommendation that I need so that I'll be sure to enjoy skipping it.
I'm just saying, I don't want you to lose an hour of your life and resent us.
Right. Because I would. I mean, I'm a little disappointed about the hours of time that I've spent trying to watch Doctor Who, trying to watch Rick and Morty, trying to watch all these other things that you guys constantly recommend that I can't stand.
Look, Rick, it's not our fault that you don't like joy, okay? That you're an enemy of fun, and that's not our problem.
That's not untrue. Here's the deal. This is the thing.
We try to get you into things.
This is the thing that I need you guys to understand. I don't watch TV.
Neither do I, to be honest.
Yeah, really, I don't either. And Brian just got rid of his TV.
Well, you guys know what he means. He doesn't watch television shows.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, okay, let me tell. I can name the shows that I watch: Westworld and Game of Thrones when they're on, Archer when it's on, Doctor Who when it's on, Venture Brothers when it's on, Rick and Morty when it's on. That's really the only shows that I'm watching right now.
Yeah. I can do that a lot easier. See, here's the thing. I don't watch TV. There are a few exceptions to that rule. Westworld, Stranger Things.
Oh, Stranger Things. I forgot Stranger Things.
That's really it. I mean, honestly, those are the exceptions. And that's how good you have to be to make it into my exceptions list.
Oh, so. What I'll say about Venture Brothers is that you probably wouldn't like the first couple of seasons because they kind of riff on, it's a satire, and unlike a lot of other satires, it's actually smart and subtle. They don't bang your head over with it.
I appreciate that.
It's a satire of Jonny Quest, and it's good. But the last 3 seasons, they've really gone into moving away from the Jonny Quest satire to the satire of superheroes. And this last season, they did a great Avengers-ish arc, which was one of the best storylines they've ever had. And so you probably wouldn't like the first couple of seasons. I think starting with season 4, he might actually be into it because that's when they started doing the superhero stuff real heavily. But at that point, it's hard to get into a show 4 seasons in, so I don't know.
Right.
Moving on.
So I have a couple panels I'd like to talk about.
All right. And Rick, Brian, what are your panels?
So I got into quite a bit of panels, and I'm not going to describe each and every one of them because some of them were kind of meh, or some of them I only sat through to get to better ones. But I've got 1 or 2 from each day I'd like to go over. And the first one I want to go over is the 2001 A Space Odyssey 50th anniversary panel.
Hell yes. That was an awesome panel.
It actually really was. I know Torrin would say, oh, the pedantic blah, 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 blah. I liked hearing like 100-year-old Gary Lockwood telling a story about Stanley Kubrick.
Oh my God, it was agonizing. Oh my God. He was honestly the worst part of that panel for me.
I know. Like I have a great picture. I have a great picture of him just clearly not wanting to be there. Either that or his face is just so fucking gnarled that he's got resting asshole face. But to see him and Keir Dullea sitting next to each other talking about the movie 50 years after it came out with 6 other people with 13 PhDs between them, it was really cool. Just talking about the importance of the movie, not just for science fiction, but really for the art of performance, for film, for portrayal, and all of the things that the movie got right. Really, the only thing that the movie got wrong was that Pan Am's not around anymore. So that was really cool. I had a great time doing that one. And then I also went to I actually went to 2 Ray Bradbury panels, both of which made this list. This was it was almost like a lecture on the creation and inspiration of Fahrenheit 451 and the process that Ray Bradbury went through to write it, starting with The Pedestrian, which was a short story he published, and how Fahrenheit 451 was originally first published in its entirety before it was a novel as a series of short stories in Playboy. And that was the first time it was ever published. They don't tell you that when they make you read it in high school. But another interesting fact that I thought was kind of cool was that technically he was under contract that if he ever did write a novel, it would be for Putnam Books. And so they didn't want to publish this novel that he sent them. So what he did was he went to a different publisher, the guy who would later go on to create Mad Magazine, and got it published as Fahrenheit 451 and Other Stories, because he put 2 like 10-page short stories in with a novel. So that was kind of interesting. Friday, I went to It Didn't Look That Way in My Head, which was a bunch of authors talking about books that they've written that have been adapted into films. And the reason why I'm going to talk about this is because it was a little awkward, kind of. I don't know if I'm making a bigger deal out of this than I should, but Andy Weir was there. and everybody knows who Andy Weir is. He wrote The Martian and he wrote Artemis. He made this weird ass racist joke about Asian people, and nobody really laughed, and it was super awkward. I'm kind of surprised it didn't get more widely reported, but I mean, I really enjoyed The Martian, and I haven't read Artemis. But in person, he's kind of an asshole. So to the TPK listeners, I don't mean to talk bad about people. I'm just saying, never meet your heroes.
How is it? In what way is he an asshole?
He was very okay. Look, he's aware that he is kind of a sensation because his first book was huge, and nobody else on this panel you'd recognize. And he was very much aware of the fact that nobody else on this panel you'd recognize, and kind of treated it like it was his panel.
So he likes himself, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Okay. And then he makes unfunny racist jokes.
Right, I got you.
But anyway,
wait, are they racist jokes or racial jokes?
This one, it was a week and a half ago. If I'm trying to recall,
it's fun.
Something about Asians and driving. Anyway,
yeah, let's not repeat the overt.
I am not going to repeat it. I was just saying what it was about, and I was like, that's awkward. But the other one I went to that day that I want to talk about is the Star Trek Discovery panel in Hall H. Everybody was there. Virtually everybody was there. Sonequa Martin Green was there. Doug Jones was there. Shazad Latif, Mary Wiseman, Anthony Rapp, Wilson Cruz, Mary Chifo, and Anson Mount, who is this ridiculously good-looking dude that they got to play Captain Pike for season 2. But they had the showrunners there, and the new showrunners for series 2, and talking about kind of what's going on, and then we got to see an extended trailer for the next season, and it's good because I think that they're kind of finding their groove. I hope, because I mean, I'm on record as not really being thrilled about the way the first season ended, but this looks good. Looks good. Saturday, I saw my second Ray Bradbury panel. This one was Ray Bradbury in the world of comics, because Ray Bradbury, as you know, was not a comic book author at all, but a lot of his stories were adapted into comic books. And he grew up reading comic books. He just couldn't draw for shit. So that was really interesting. And I'm really kind of excited that the elder statesman of science fiction is still very much alive and well at Comic-Con with multiple panels dedicated to him. But another one I went to on Saturday that I thought was interesting was Talking for a Living, which was voiceover acting. And they had two guys there. They had Scott Brick, who's an audiobook narrator, which when you think of voice acting, you really don't think of audiobooks, but you probably should. And they had Townsend Coleman there, who does the voice. Well, he's done a lot of voices, but he did primarily the voice of The Tick, the animated show, and Michelangelo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoons. And talking about how they got into voice acting was fascinating.
Now this is a panel I'd be interested in. This sounds really cool.
Yeah, it was an hour and a half of them talking about how you got into voice acting, and, and kind of how grueling it is, and how it's not for everybody, and how it's really kind of a hand-to-mouth profession unless you get big. And then Sunday, I went to one panel, and it was the Chef Duff Goldman panel. And here's the thing. I went to this last year, but he couldn't make it. He had to cancel last minute. So they showed like an episode of his show. And it was a rough cut. This year, he was able to make it. It was not at all what I was expecting it to be. I thought it would be, hey, I'm a nerd, and I do nerd cakes, and this is some of the stuff I like to do, and like about himself. He spent the entire panel asking everybody else questions, which was kind of refreshing. Like, he talked a little bit about it, and then he took some questions, but he was asking people like, okay, Marvel or DC? I mean, who here saw the Marvel panel? Who here saw the DC panel? What else are you guys into? Hey, what kind of cake should I make next season? I mean, he's very personable. I have to say, I was kind of charmed a little bit. Like, he's a really nice guy. He's a really nice guy. And the panel was not about him. It was just him talking and having a conversation. And then he brought 1,000 cookies or whatever for the people in the panel. I didn't wait in line to get one, but he said, look, I can't answer everybody's questions. I'm going to be outside here. If you have a question, form a line. I'll answer it. So, I mean, that was genuine. That was pretty
cool. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, he's just cool. So, Duff Goldman, good dude. And so those are probably the most prominent panels that I went to at Comic-Con this year.
All right, Rick, your Comic-Con short review.
Sure. My Thursday was the best Thursday I've ever had at Comic-Con. We started at the South Park escape room, and it was interesting because we had friends that got online very early for that experience. And because we were so early, we were the first ones there. The sort of producers of the experience came out and talked to us. And this guy's talking to us about, well, this is the first time we're actually letting anybody from the public do this thing. And I wonder if you guys would mind if we kind of asked you some questions about it afterwards. And the guys, are you guys fans of the show? And absolutely. I mean, I've been a fan since it started. And it turns out that the guy that was talking to us, hang on a second, I'm going to look this up. You're going to have to edit this out. Let's see, what's his name? I
refuse to edit this out.
It turns out that the guy that was talking to us is a man by the name of Chris Bryan, who's one of the fucking showrunners for the show for the first 20 seasons. He has a nickname. He's in the credits. His nickname is Crispy, and he actually autographed my Comic-Con badge. And so they brought us in actually before they even opened to the public and had us go through the escape room. There were 10 of us. And we were the first group, including any of the test groups from the production company or the studio that ran through the same. We were the first ones to actually escape. And so we had a blast with that. They gave us all kinds of swag. They gave us member berries and little treats and stuff. And it was really awesome. We really had a good time with that. I also checked out the Ready Player One experience, which also included a little mini escape room. Not quite as bigger is cool, but also a very fun experience. And they were giving out keychains. I showed that in my vlog recap. Also on Thursday, I went to the Great Debate, and I found it to be not enjoyable. I actually left halfway through. Yeah, I did not enjoy it at all. It was fun and interesting and whatever for maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes or so. And then it started to get kind of like, this is not super cool for me. So I left. I don't know what your impression was, how this year compared to other years, Chris, but I didn't love it.
It was fun. Last year, John Hodgman hosted, and Aisha Tyler was a contestant. And then this year she hosted. John Barrowman's always there. Adam Savage is always there. I'm trying to remember. There were a couple other regular players.
Not Frank Langella, but the super handsome guy who's married to not Eva Longoria.
Oh yeah, that's right. I can't remember his name. He plays Deathstroke in the DCEU, and he's never going to get a movie made for him. He was there. He wasn't here there last year. It's a fun little diversion. I mean, my wife really loved it, and of course we love. Oh, and also I can't believe I blanked on this. Felicia Day was there. She wasn't there last year. It's a fun little debate. You get to hear people who are really interested in and who are a part of nerd culture talk about nerd culture. So it was fun. But it's like some of their answers I disagreed with. Some of their answers I agreed with. But yeah, it was fun.
I just found it to be kind of a droll. The next day, I think Friday, we just kind of goofed around, and I got lined out on a bunch of different panels on Friday. I honestly can't remember exactly all I did on Friday. But I know I did play some games in the Games Lounge. We played a game called Dungeon Brawl, and I mentioned this before we actually during our preview that I was interested in playing this game. The premise of the game, get this. Imagine you're a party of adventurers and you just defeated the boss and you're divvying up the loot and a fight breaks out between you all. And there's some cards and there's some dice and there's some there's player tokens and that kind of thing. And it was a fun game. I don't know that I would buy it, but we had a good time playing it for about an hour. Saturday was the biggest day for me at con, and it usually is, but this was the first time in a while that I wasn't in Hall H on Saturday. The biggest things for me were Cosmos and Orville. Those were great panels. I had a lot of fun. Incidentally, going back to the great debate, Orlando Jones was one of the panelists. Unrelated to that, I actually ran into Orlando Jones on the street on Saturday night after the con. Saturday night, we had gone to Sci-Fi was hosting a Harry Potter themed party at the Children's Museum downtown, and they were giving away free beer and shirts and posters and all kinds of stuff. They had a live band playing. It was actually a lot of fun. And as we're leaving the party, it's like 1 a.m, and I see this guy walking up the street, and I think to myself, he either really looks a lot like Orlando Jones, or that's actually Orlando Jones. And as I'm walking up the street, I find myself saying this: you either look like him or you're him. He's like, he just walked up to me without saying anything else, put out his hand. He said, "Hi, I'm Orlando. Nice to meet you." And I just shook his hand, and I said, "Hey, you were great on the great debate panel on Thursday night. I had a lot of fun." I said, "Oh, were you at that? That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. Hey, have a great rest of the con." Super personal guy. I didn't stop and take a selfie with him because, but really friendly guy and super open to just, chatting with somebody on the street. Back to the con. Indigo Ballroom was the place to be this con. I mean, it was a huge year in Indigo Ballroom. You spent all day there on Friday doing all Animation Friday. Saturday was a ton of interesting TV shows. The CW has a show called Legacies. I'm actually kind of interested in that show. It's in the same universe as Vampire Diaries and the one that came after that, which I don't even remember what it's called. But actually, and those shows don't appeal to me at all. But this Legacies show, I might watch an episode or two and see if I don't hate it. We had to sit through those in one other panel for an NBC show called Manifest, which is like Lost meets Malaysian Air Flight 820. The Cosmos and Orville panels were a blast. They were awesome. And if you watched my my vlog recap, you got to see the question that I asked of Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't need to talk about it here, but it was a lot of fun. The Orville panel was also a lot of fun. They talked about, one of the interesting things that they talked about there was how Seth MacFarlane really feels like the show was kind of misrepresented in the first season. It was promoted as a pure comedy, and we kind of talked about this, that this show is kind of its own thing. It doesn't really match a lot of other things. People were surprised when it was a straight sci-fi show with some jokes, and it was fun. It was good. It was enjoyable, but people didn't really know how to package it, and so the network kind of put a spin on it, and it wasn't exactly the right spin for that show, but they didn't really know what the fuck else to do with it. So they did address that, and that was kind of interesting. Sunday was a lot of and one other thing we did, and I can't remember if this was Friday or Saturday, but I did go to a panel about podcasting, and Brian was there with me, and that was very interesting. On Sunday, I went to a couple different writing panels. I went to a voiceover panel, a voice acting, actually cartoon voices panel, and that was a lot of fun. And I walked out of a couple panels at other times during the weekend just because they were boring. There was one panel about prop making, 3D modeling, 3D printing, and resin molding. The guy that was the sort of featured guy on the panel really was using it as an advertisement for his modeling company. And I found it really distasteful. I don't even want to say the name of it, but it was, I sat through 20 minutes of him talking about how cool he is and has been for 30 years and left.
Yeah.
It was just not what I want to see at a panel. So, in general, like I said, I did a lot more panels this year at con than I normally do, only because I got 2 days of my con back from Hall H.
Yeah.
But really had a lot of fun doing things both in the con, at the convention center, and sort of off-site stuff. And basically a great con.
All right.
I have final thoughts on the convention. I've said something a couple of times, and everybody I said it to that's been kind of agrees with me, so I'll just say it now. If you get a chance to go to Comic-Con, even if it's for a day, take it, because you're not going to get to do what you want to do. You're not going to get to see all of the things you want to see.
No way.
But you will not be disappointed. I never hit my itinerary. It's never what I want to do. I'm never disappointed.
Sure.
It's always a great time.
That's a great way to say it. The thing is that there's always some stuff you're not going to get to. There's always some stuff you're going to try to do but can't. But the stuff you're going to do instead is also fun.
Yeah. And
so just embrace that.
And walk into a panel that you don't know anything about. You never know when you're going to find something really awesome. So that's all I got to say about Comic-Con. It was a great time. Wish you guys could have been there. Torin, especially.
Yeah.
Since you bought a ticket, since hundreds of thousands of people tried to get into Comic-Con even just Sunday and weren't able to, and you bought a ticket and wasted it.
It's America.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. There was some nerd news that happened during Comic-Con, and we've been spending the whole week recovering, so we can talk about a couple of things.
Yeah, like Clone Wars Season 7.
Jesus Wait, Christ. Is it a Season 7 or is it a reboot?
It's Season 7.
It's supposed to be, it's 10 years or however many years later.
It's not 10 years later. It's 5 years after they stopped the show. Yeah. But they never finished it.
It's right. Yeah, no, they're continuing. It's literally...
It's the final season. They're going to do the final season. Get fucking psyched.
I thought they already did a final season.
Well, but it was never completed. This is Season 7. This is the last season of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, they announced it at Comic-Con, but who the fuck cares?
I do.
Really?
Torin does.
No, I don't.
Star Wars fans do.
No.
No
one ever cared about Clone Wars, Brian.
No one cares about Clone Wars.
They never did.
Nobody cares about the goddamn prequels.
It was a throwaway. It was a throwaway line in the first movie, and they've milked it into apparently a 7-season cartoon series. More than that, if you can.
Insanely popular, but don't worry.
Yeah, I'm sure 10-year-olds.
I'm sure Resistance will be just as popular.
No, that's more interesting. I'm more interested in what happened after episode 6.
Yeah, can't wait. Wait. Right. Finally, maybe we get to see Captain Phasma do something cool.
Nope.com. Moving on. Let's talk a little bit briefly about James Gunn. I don't have a lot to say about this.
Very briefly.
So for those of you who aren't in the know, like 5, 6, 7 years ago, I think this was even before he made Super, or maybe just after he made Super, James Gunn, basically on Twitter, he was like a shock comedian. So he would tweet these really crazy and distasteful tweets in order to get a reaction, that's kind of hack comedy. It's the lowest of the low, but whatever. That was his tweets. I don't think anybody actually takes the tweets seriously, and he tweeted about rape, he tweeted about pedophilia. Some alt-right blogger whose name I can't even fucking remember dug up these things because James Gunn is critical of Trump. Dug up these things and said, well, you're no better than Trump because you make jokes about this shit. So that happened on, when did it come out? Thursday, Wednesday? And by, I think, Friday or Saturday, Disney had fired him. It took less than a week for them to fire him.
It took like a day.
Yeah. And then all of the James Gunn fans and all of the Marvel fans came up and said, oh, you shouldn't fire James Gunn and blah, blah, blah. And the arguments against firing James Gunn were so pitifully weak. They range from, if you fire James Gunn, you're giving into the alt-right. Well, that's not an argument against firing him. If what he said is reprehensible, and literally every article that I've read that talks about this describes the tweets as reprehensible, and by definition, something that is reprehensible is unable to be defended. So if you don't want James Gunn to be fired, don't describe the tweets as reprehensible. They're also saying that the guy who pulled up these tweets even worse things. That's also not a logical argument. That's a tu quoque fallacy or a U2 fallacy. It basically just proves that he's a hypocrite. It doesn't prove that he shouldn't be fired. Here's the thing. If I were the head of Disney, I probably wouldn't have fired him because he was telling bad jokes, and I don't think, like, I read the jokes and I thought that they were distasteful. I didn't think they were worth him being fired. But now that he is fired, he's fucking fired, guys. Don't be pissed off at Disney for firing him. They're a company that wants to make money and wants to save face. I don't think that Disney actually made the wrong decision in firing him, because his tweets were pretty fucking disgusting and unfucking funny. But if you want to defend James Gunn, don't use shitty fucking arguments.
Right, and then they're doing other weird stuff like quitting Twitter. Like, how does that? What does it have to do with Disney?
Yeah, like, who quit Twitter the other day?
Michael Rooker quit Twitter.
No, somebody else
and
did.
Ryan Johnson deleted like 20,000 tweets or something.
Ryan Johnson's running scared. Okay, so
yeah. See, I'm going to cosplay as Ryan Johnson next year, because I'm just going to walk around furiously typing and shaking my head and mumbling into my phone, because that's kind of what he does.
That's a man that's running scared. But no, Selma Blair apparently quit Twitter either yesterday or today.
Oh yeah. And Selma Blair was another one that I got to take issue with, because she defended James Gunn by saying, guys, he's one of the good ones. Like, one of the good ones is a direct quote from her. And I'm like, Selma, that's not how you defend somebody who said some horrible fucking things, even if it was a fucking joke.
Well, Chris, look, I have to say I'm proud of you for taking this position, but it's not even just a right or a left thing. If someone in your tribe, supposedly, is an asshole, you will instinctively defend them, even if they're independent.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is why, you know, Bill Clinton is allowed to rape all these women, but he's really important for the greater good. I mean, they turned a blind eye to that. Well, right, but back in the day, you know, he was allowed to be worse than Weinstein, and now that's no longer okay. So I remarkably agree with you, Chris. I wouldn't have fired him either.
Wow.
But
it's Disney, guys. I mean,
yeah,
Disney,
they had no choice. They had no choice.
Right.
And to be perfectly honest, if I were the head of Disney and had to answer to shareholders, I probably would. If I were the head of Christopher James Studios, I probably wouldn't have.
Right, because you would have read his tweets and known that the guy who brought you Slither is not exactly subtle.
Here's the thing about it. This is the issue that I have with it, because Disney knew about the tweets before anybody else did. I guarantee they had somebody who was digging into this guy's past to make sure that they knew all the skeletons were there. They were ready to fire him if that shit became public. And somebody raked up the muck and stirred up pot. And Disney says, oh, well, we discovered that these things happen, so we need to cut ties with them. And everybody, even James Gunn says, yeah, I can't disagree with their decision. But I'm going to tell you this. They didn't make a move on it until it became public. But they knew about it before. And that's what I kind of find distasteful, because they're waiting for there to be some kind of public outcry. Yes, the jokes are bad. Yes, they are distasteful. They're public knowledge, but it doesn't become an issue until it goes viral, essentially. I'm not a fan of that kind of decision making. Well, everything's fine until the public really gets wind of it.
Right.
And I'll say one other thing too. I mean, it's kind of selective the way they do this. Disney, Marvel, has not written off Joss Whedon, even though I find the tweets that Joss Whedon tweets, not 8 years ago, but like today, to be incredibly offensive, on par, in my opinion, with James Gunn. The difference is James Gunn is funny sometimes.
So the other thing about this is, and I think we kind of
it's selective, is what I'm saying. It's arbitrary,
right? Well, maybe not, because we kind of talked about this with the on the Consensual Racism podcast, where we talked a little bit about Roseanne and how she was like fired hours after whatever controversy came out about her. Maybe there's other things going on behind the scenes with James Gunn that we're not privy to, and they were ready to they're looking for any excuse to get rid of him. There might be something there, either creatively or Maybe he's just a huge asshole on the Disney lot, on the Marvel lot. Who knows? There's no other stuff there, because Brian, you're right. Joss Whedon has had a lot of controversy in the last few years, not just with his tweets, but also with his personal life
and womanizing and
right. And they didn't get rid of him, so maybe there might be other factors at play. That
here's my big question. Here's my big question. Does Sean Gunn still have a role in Guardians of the Galaxy?
The answer is no, but I tell you what, Arthur Darvill is waiting by the phone for that character, because he looks just like Arthur Darvill.
Hey, don't forget Andy Serkis is totally available to play Rocket now, too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah.
All right, next question. Did you guys read the update from AMC on Chris Hardwick?
Yes, and I wasn't here for the episode when you guys talked about it, but here's my take on it. From a like, if you're taking a look at it in a court of law, it's essentially he said, she said. We're never going to know the truth. That being said, statistically speaking, very few women, and this is very hard to determine also, but very few women, like really few women, like less than 1%, I don't even know what the number is, but a really small number of women make this shit up. I'm kind of inclined, and this isn't really a logical decision on my part, but I'm kind of inclined to believe the woman on this part. I wasn't watching any of his shows anyway, so this doesn't really affect me. Like, I don't watch Talking Dead. I don't watch the other show. I don't really read the Nerdist or I don't listen to the podcast. If the Nerdist shows up on my feed, I might click on it, but that's it. But I don't know what they found in their investigation. But the thing that AMC did is they didn't fire him off the bat. They just suspended him, did a quote investigation, and then they said, we didn't find anything, so he's back. Honestly, I'm so conflicted, I don't even know what to feel, and I don't know what the right answer is.
Here's the thing that I had to say. I'm going to just read from an article here. This is from /film.com. Legal analyst, let me see. Let's see. Legal analysts on social media shared that the law firm conducting the investigation, Loeb and Loeb, also represents the Hearst Corporation on a number of matters. It's not a coincidence that Chris Hardwick is married to a Hearst. That being said, AMC conducted an investigation. See, this is why this all comes down to appearance. They, in quotes, air quotes, conducted an investigation, and their investigation determined that he should be rehired or reinstated. That's it. And so as the public, we're supposed to go, well, they kind of did their due diligence, and so we'll take their word for it. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. He is kind of a cash cow for them. And so you can do one of two things: take their word for it and believe, well, okay, so if he really was this kind of liability, then they would ditch him. But if he's not a liability, then he really shouldn't have lost his job in the first place. So let's bring it back on. You can take their word for it at face value, or you can believe that they're going to say that, no, our guy's clean and we're going to put him back to work because he's a cash cow. The appearance of propriety is more important than propriety itself, which is my issue on the James Gunn question. Disney had to have known about the tweets ahead of time, but didn't address it until it went viral. And that's some kind of BS shit. They only became concerned about it when the public became concerned about it. AMC needs to make sure that the public knows, hey, we looked into this, guys, and what we found is that he's clean. And that's all. They're just CYA. They're covering their ass so that they don't make a sort of embarrassing move about sticking with a guy who's got a lot of red flags on him. So it's hard to know even still what really happened, but ultimately he's going to be back at work on Talking Dead, and we're still not going to know what really happened between him and Chloe Dykstra.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's a complicated. This is heavy topics, man. Do we want to move on to Carrie Fisher?
Yes, please.
All right, let's move on to Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher's going to be in episode 9 somehow. I'm also conflicted. Could be good, could be bad. Apparently, they're going to be using unused footage from episode 8.
Right.
Peter Cushing was in Rogue One, so hey, what the fuck?
God.
Yeah, I really hope that we're not going to be seeing any Unreal or Uncanny Valley.
No, you're right. Unreal Engine 4 version of Carrie Fisher. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, like I give Rogue One a little bit of shit for, although actually I really thought it was awesome in the theater, and then having watched it in home video, I'm like, oh yeah, that looks bad. But I complained about the Uncanny Valley of Peter Cushing, but honestly, like, if the story is good and the acting is good, I don't really have a problem with them bringing Carrie Fisher back, even if it's CGI. My main issue is that it's not going to hold up. Like, the prequels visually do not hold up today, 10 years later, unlike the original trilogy, which still fucking holds up from 1977.
FYI, the prequels were 20 years ago, not 10.
Oh, 20 years ago. I'm fucking old.
I'll also say this. I think it could only be better than her appearance in the last movie because, you know, she wasn't wearing a nightgown for the evacuation. She was wearing, like, the Resistance uniform, the jacket, the boots, very practical, very, very slim. Not a lot of extravagance. So I don't know why when they were evacuating the Rebel base, they had to change into Queen Victoria's outfit, but
evening wear, sure.
Yeah. Well, let me put on my lucky evacuation gown.
Look, Chris, if they're using unused footage, then hopefully it won't be CGI. It's just unused footage between him, I believe, Luke Skywalker. So it'll probably be like a flashback or something.
Yeah. I hope it's a flashback.
It's inconsequential, quite frankly.
Here's
honestly,
the thing, though. I don't know that it's going to be inconsequential because she's got to die at some point.
They'll explain that. They'll figure out a way around that. Hopefully,
here's my concern. My concern is that I'm worried that they're writing the script to fit the footage that they have, rather than writing a script and then throwing the appropriate footage in there. That's my concern. Like, I'm really worried about episode 9.
Legit. That's legit.
Because, episode 8, as we all know, logically speaking, is the best of the franchise.
Of course.
I'm worried that episode 9 is going to be the worst.
It can't be the worst, but it might be the worst of this current thing that we're in now with Star Wars.
And on that, look at the time.
Yeah, especially because that was bullshit, but whatever.
I don't understand your guys' unfounded and illogical hate for what is.
I don't hate the movie.
It's not hate.
It's not great.
It's not hate. It has flaws. Like everything, it has flaws. Some of us acknowledge that.
Oh,
some of us don't.
You guys,
we're not doing this again. We're not doing this again. We're not doing this again. We're not doing this again.
Anyway,
we're not fucking doing this.
Again. I've said anyway 4 fucking times, and yet you're still talking about this.
We're not doing this again.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, and with that, let's close out the show. For TPK, this is Chris signing off.
This is Rick saying I'm already anxious for pre-sale Comic-Con 2019.
This is Brian saying I can't wait till Lens Flare returns to the Star Wars universe.
And this is Torian saying I can't wait to not go to Comic-Con 2019.
I'll take your ticket next year.
No problem.
I'm going to sell it online.
I get the money.
No.
Yeah, I get the profit.
No.
I'll give you a cut. I'll give you a taste, but you can sell it online.
I will take my cut, and my cut will be 3 digits. 3 percentage digits. There you go. Okay. Are we done?
We're done.
Are we done?
Try to upload this by tonight. Because I'm gonna start editing.
Do we ever not upload it by tonight?
I don't know, because whatever.
We always do.
I'm posting the upload link in just a second.
All right, later.
Goodbye.
Oh, Rick.
What?
Rick, would you be able to upload either? Do you still have all of the video files of your vlogs?
Oh, yeah,
would you be able to upload either the video files or actually just like a high high res audio export of those video files?
I'm not going to extract the audio. I will upload
Could you
the
just
videos.
upload? Yeah, yeah. If you upload those, that would be great.
They're in my Google Drive. I'll share them to you.
Oh,
all
yeah.
Right, perfect. Yeah, share those to me because I want to put those on the feed too.
No problem. Yeah.
And hey, Rick, are you going to be going to my murder witch mystery party?
Don't know yet.
Yeah, Brian, that all depends entirely on whether or not I work that Saturday.
Well, I'm not worried about you going. I'm joking. But yeah, no, okay. Just RSVP early and often. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I think we're going. Yes, I think we're going.
Okay.
All right.
We got to look at the Jewish holiday schedule.
Are there a lot of Jewish holidays in September?
Yes.
Hey, Rick.
Rosh Hashanah.
Holy Week.
Well, I Rosh Hashanah, but I'm like Yom Kippur is like in March, right? Or no, that's on October. I guess. Well, no, because it's based on the lunar calendar, so it moves. Damn it!
I'll let you know as soon as I know.
All right. Well,
plan for us to be there.
Hey, Rick.
What?
So for the 4th, could we play at your place?
We could. I'd rather play at Brandon's, but we could play at my place on the 4th.
Just in case Brandon doesn't want to play. You were saying it sounded like he was into it, so I just.
Well, I don't know if. Yeah, message everybody on.
Yeah, I did. Nobody ever responds.
Yeah.
A lot of people responded, dude. A lot of people.
Who responded?
A lot of people responded. Yes, in the affirmative. But I will also tell you, I was discussing it briefly with Dane W, and I don't know that he's going to do it next weekend.
Okay. I have no response. So, all right. Anyway.
All right, bye, guys.
All right.
Bye. Yeah,
Bye.
Later.
Bye.
Dad had it. Because I was gonna. That's right. I'll order one from Amazon. Because I'm gonna be seeing Dad tomorrow. Stuff. I don't like that. Oh, I don't like that. No, that's fine. That's fine. Ow, I don't like that. Wait, he came in the house now?
Oh yeah. Which one?
Is this the one that you had spayed?
Oh, raccoon?
What?
No, the outdoor kitty.
Is this the one that you had spayed?
No, this is. His name is Raccoon.
Okay.
I named him.
Okay. Has he had his...
I had him neutered.
Well, whatever. Did he have his shots?
Yes, he had his shots.
Well, then you're good.
His name is Raccoon.
Cool, Raccoon. I'm glad that you enjoy Dragon Ball Z.
His name is Raccoon.
Raccoon.
I named him.
His middle name is
Raccoon.
Well, you weren't there and had to come up with a name on the spur of the moment.
For Emerson?
What?
Emerson likes to know everybody's name now.
I know. Oh my gosh, does he?
It's just Kevin for everything.
Yeah, Kevin's my go-to name.
That's our go-to name. We say it for everyone.
And he hasn't caught on that everybody's name is Kevin.
He doesn't really seem to care.
He doesn't care as long as it has a name.
I see.
Hey, babe, where's my drugs?
And my purse.
You, I need some drugs.
Okay, I'm taking a event calendar.
Yeah.
1 o'clock, Chris.
1 o'clock at Garage Brewing on Sunday.
Alright. At Garage? Yeah. No, we don't. If you want to buy bread, it's fine. I don't. Yes, we will all fit together. Have you been to Garage Brewing Company? No, they. Yeah, no one's ever there, so we'll find bar. Yes, all they do is they do extremely overpriced pizza. Wherever you want. I don't know.
I'll do.
If you want alcohol and a lot of seating, there's Yard House. If you want good alcohol, there's Relentless. There's Black Market. You could go to Ballast Point if you want extremely hoppy, overpriced beer and extremely overpriced food.
Okay, what is a place that you would like?
Garage is fine.
You don't sound like you like it.
You should see his face right now.
What?
It looks like it's so bad. Stop.
What?
You're making me straight.
Garage is fine.
Chris,
Yeah.
Evan will eat and drink wherever, so why don't you pick a place?
Yeah, but Mom and Dad don't like beer, so.
It doesn't matter. There we go. We're not going to drink the beer anyway. Peter suggested that. So also make that wine, Chris.
They're not gonna drink
Normally we
the
just
beer?
drink water.
battles of the realms. They only did so at the behest of Gandalf, who was of Maiar and requested their aid, and they actually got into trouble from Elohar because of that. I couldn't. Oh my god.